I got 400,000 followers and I still gotta go to work at my regular job. Hi, I'm Mohawk Johnson. You might remember me from Cook County Jail. Currently, I'm a pretty popular stand-up comedian in my local scene, and also a content creator with millions of views and hundreds of thousands of followers. And I'm still broke. I'm still very broke. But why? Well, I think it's because of attitudes like this.
You're over 9 million followers. No. I don't care about your followers because you're broke. Those just don't count. And she got a little couple dollars because niggas is trick off. But that's what it takes. You're digitally panhandling. Digitally panhandling. Yo, follow my Cash App. Yo, make a donation to my that's digital panhandling, yo.
I'm broke as fuck. And honestly, it's on purpose. I'm broke on purpose, and not because I choose it. It's bigger than me. Venues don't pay. Comedy clubs will cut into more than half of your ticket sales. Shows pay you in drink tickets, and I don't know about y'all, but my landlord don't like those. So, what am I supposed to do? Well, I ask. I ask for help, for payment, for compensation for my community. About a year ago, I started doing this event on my page that I like to call Payday, where I ask fans to donate to my general well-being or subscribe to my Patreon for more exclusive content, and people react. They react so poorly, and I don't fully understand why. So I decided to ask my friend, my best friend, Marcus Montgomery. Marcus has been my best friend since I was a freshman in college. 17-year-old me wouldn't have made it to 30 without him, so his insight is immensely important to me. So I brought him in to talk to you all about why I think this happens. Marcus, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this. How do you feel? How do you feel about this entire thing? Because I sent you the video. Yes, I sent you the video. We talked about it more than a month ago, and I rewatched it this morning, read more of the comments, and I have renewed thoughts about this subject.
So I did look at the video. I did not read the comments.
That's better for everybody's mental health. So much better for everybody's mental health.
So hello, people. My name is Marcus Broderick Montgomery. My background is primarily in singing and songwriting, as well as a myriad of forms of spiritual work and general relational and communal emotional and spiritual support. My response to, or I guess where I'm at with the conversation is, I believe that patronage is the past and patronage is the future. Patronage is the present, but people are extremely resistant to that concept for a combination of reasons, mostly rooted in ideas of deserving and who deserves what, when, why, where, and how. And how a lot of people's perceptions of what we deserve is rooted in people's ability to perform capitalism particularly well. And when I say perform capitalism, what I mean is the ability to create products that are for sale, that are ultimately divorced from the people who create them, as well as to some extent the people who consume them, and how taking a more communal and patronage-based approach to the ways in which we engage in culture together, those who produce culture and those who bear witness to and participate in perpetuating that culture, we can arrive at something that's more meaningful, less extractive, less exploitative, less ultimately harmful to ourselves and each other if we were to maybe look at our general human behavior less like products that have to be commodified and then owned and licensed and distributed and disseminated it against the public and marketed, and instead were to say, I need to live. I'm doing my best to survive in the world. You need to live. You're doing your best to survive in the world. What I'm bringing to the table is an earnest expression of my own humanity. Here is what I know or what I think, and I'm going to present that to you through music or through humor or through scripted and acted audiovisual media or through photography, right? I'm going to capture this feeling, this notion in some way, and I want to share it with you. And if that action that I take does something to uphold your ability to be fortified as you navigate the human experience alongside me, what I'm asking for in return is that you fortify my ability to navigate the human experience by compensating me in some way, whether that is helping raise awareness around ideas and my presence and my willingness to offer ideas, or more specifically to this conversation, please give me $1.
That part. Both parts, right?
When I think about my own work, when I think about the work of musicians, particularly people who create music with words, the primary thing that we do is offer some combination of honest and or popular thought or feeling. We display that. We make it as beautiful and as interesting and as moving as possible. We give that to the world. The world resonates with it. And there's something about that that allows for other people to partake in catharsis, in enjoyment, in an exchange of or a reciprocation of sympathy or empathy. There's something about music that is life-giving. There's something about art that is life-giving. In your case with comedy, the ability to bring ideas to people and inspire them to interface with ideas in a way that allows them to laugh, in a way that allows them to have a safe place to consider something, that is life-giving. And if we were to get into some somatic healing theories, comedy in particular is a powerful medium because it gets us to laugh. And when we laugh, that is soothing to our nervous systems. So it's not even like hee hee ha ha for the brain. It's also like hee hee ha ha for the body. In the climate that we exist in, where we are perpetually manipulated by people who profit off of our anger, people who profit off of our division, the ability to express or explain something to someone in a way that allows them to laugh and to be less tense and to release energy and to be less rigid and to be more open, and for their bodies to recognize that no matter how serious of a discussion we're having, there is still room for joy and an opportunity for comfort, even as we interface with difficult things. That is crucial. It's not insignificant. Now, one may argue that this is contingent upon subject matter. A counter argument to that may or may not be, is any subject matter truly frivolous if it all adds up to the amalgamation that is our lived experience? Making fun of someone's shirt. It's like, oh, that's useless. That's meaningless. That's nothing. You just made fun of someone's shirt. But what does it mean for us to clothe ourselves? What does it mean for us to identify with ourselves through how we adorn our bodies? What does it mean that other people will experience us and engage with us based on that adornment of our bodies? Why are people spending $10,000 on a pair of ripped up, tattered jeans that probably costed $20 to manufacture and maybe another $15 to then somewhat destroy, in the name of fashion, that then props up a multi-billion-dollar industry, to then turn around and say your commentary on this person's shirt is meaningless and nothingness. It's either everything means something or nothing means anything, more than trying to pick apart and be the arbiter of what does and doesn't have value when it comes to contributions to the culture. Anyway, all of that is really heady. My point is that, we will experience a piece of art, and especially depending on how popular a creator of that art is, you will often see someone say, oh, this changed my life. This song changed my life. Or this person saved me. This album, or, I was having a really hard time grieving over a loved one, and then I saw this video, and it's the first time that I've laughed in 2 months. Is that not worth the person who created this thing that's offering soothing to their audience, not worth the ability for that creator to live a life where their basic needs are met and where they are then empowered enough to continue that life-giving work? That's what I think we're talking about when we introduce this subject. That is the seriousness with which I approach concepts of crowdfunding, of art and artist patronage, and beyond that, concepts that I may or may not be bastardizing of mutual aid, and even concepts of universal basic income, and how we are ultimately artists and their audiences exchanging life for life. I'm like, I am going to offer you this piece of life, and if you could offer me a piece of life in return, if we could reciprocate that, I would be unfathomably, innumerably, inexplicably grateful. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're asking. We are exchanging life for life. For me, my life-giving offering is a song. For you, that life-giving offering is $4.99 a month.
Two.
Or, well, in your specific case, yes. I was using the proverbial you and using a random number, but
true.
Or it's $10 for this album, which we'll get to the specifics of numbers and things and numbers for things later in this conversation. But I keep your internal lights, the lights of your soul, on, and you keep the lights, the ComEd lights in my house on. And that is the basis of our exchange. It seems that the more direct that exchange becomes, and the more that exchange becomes less about products being sold to consumers and more about looking you in the eye and saying, I'm so grateful that I was able to help you. Would you then possibly be able to help me in return? I think the vulnerability and the intimacy of that scares and enrages people for reasons that they don't understand, that have a lot to do with their own concepts of general basic human worthiness and what it is that we're all doing in this American experiment in particular, as well as this global human experiment. So that's a lot of words, but that's where I'm coming from when approaching the subject.
True. And, as someone who's had to crowdfund before, I feel like I've always been able to get more money for being in an emergency, like being housing insecure, than I am then I'm able to get help for just making art very well, and then releasing the bulk of it for free, right? And this is, again, a situation where I have more than 400,000 people looking at me every day. So when I make a post going, hey, do you want to slide me $1 on Cash App, or do you want to subscribe to my Patreon? It's $2 a month, you know. If 10% of you did that, if 10% of the people looking at me every day did that, that would be life-changing. But people have this horrible idea in their head that I don't deserve things. And you talked about deserving this earlier, and that was actually one of the bullet points that I wanted to touch on. Where I'll be like, hey, do you want to give me some money because I've made all of this viral content and entertained all of you people. And as a comic and as an entertainer, the point is I do the entertainment, you give me the money. Like that is the exchange. Folk will go the fuck off on me, and then those same people will then pay hundreds of dollars for Beyonce tickets, right?
Thousands,
right? Because Beyonce deserves it, but I don't. But we're both working, and I'm not doing work to the caliber of Beyonce, but I'm also not asking for that much either. I'm asking for what I think I'm worth. I think the laugh I bring you today is worth $2 or $1 or whatever you're willing to give, whatever the lowest Cash App will allow you to send me. You know what I'm saying? And if it's all of you accumulatively, you know, if it's all of you at once, you know, that does a lot. That's rent for several months. You know what I'm saying? And it bothers me because I have friends even who just owe me money. Who just like, when I had a lot of money, I was like, you know what, I'll pay a month of your rent to make sure you don't get kicked out the crib because it's fucking January and it's Chicago and I'm not going to let that happen to you. You will have shelter this winter, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to buy a month of your groceries because like you got kids at the crib and the job market is bad and it's not on you that your hours got cut and you had to pick between your kid's inhaler and your kid eating. And that's just a choice that you can't make and you shouldn't have to, you know what I'm saying? Because like if your kid can't breathe, they can't eat. And if your kid can't eat, they stop breathing. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's a crazy choice to have to make. And no matter what, I was going to have to drop you $400 anyway. But I'm going to drop that $400 to take care of you, right? There's people I take care of. Won't hit the Cash App, won't hit the Patreon. That money belongs to A$AP Rocky. You know what I'm saying? That's the next Rihanna album whenever the hell she drops it. Instead of teasing us. I'm fucking sick of her. You know, but like that's what that is. These celebrities deserve your money, but your friend who takes care of you does not. And these are the same people who are always in my comments and always in my DMs going, how come you ain't blow up? How come you ain't made it yet? How come you? And I'm like, well, y'all won't. I'm not going to make it because some random, because I'm going to get signed to Atlantic. I'm going to make it because the community wants me to make it. And a thing about who we think deserves money and how it's inextricably linked to capitalism is that we don't think people deserve things until other rich people say that they do. And then we accuse those people of selling out. Right? Like if I start doing the TikTok Shop promos, because TikTok Shop is offering me promos because my videos are going viral. If I start doing those promos, a good chunk of my fan base is going to go, oh, dude, you sold out. Oh, you're doing shoe commercials. Oh, bro, you suck, bro. You sold out on us. You should have kept it indie. And I'm like, you could have kept it indie by paying me. There's 17,000 of you on this profile alone. If 1,000 of you gave me $2, that's a month of me not having to do promo. That's all my monthly expenses, rent, and some extra. And I can take my girl out to dinner. You know what I'm saying? And I can buy her something nice. You know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't have to be like this. You made it like this. Like, your lack of engagement created a situation where I have to sell out. And it seems like it feels as though people want to consume everything I have while fundamentally thinking that I don't deserve to be alive to be able to make it. And that is befuddling. And it also creates a situation where I'm constantly trying to justify my right to exist and my deservingness of pay for people who don't think I deserve to get paid until a bigger person says I do, which is confusing and disgusting because I don't think that rich people need to validate whether or not I deserve to get paid for the work. And it's also a matter of moving the goalpost, right? It is moving the goalpost. Like, I don't deserve the money until Atlantic or somebody gives me some bread from my music or any of the other stuff I do. I don't make it until I pick up a YouTube series, you know what I'm saying? Until I end up on YouTube Red, or until Netflix gives me a pilot or a special. I don't deserve it until then, but I'm already trending in the millions, right? I had somebody come on one of my pages and go, you only have 20,000 followers. Why do you think you deserve to get paid? And I'm like, I have 20,000 followers.
Only.
How many? I mean, only 20,000. Okay, dude with an anime profile pic, 5 followers, and one of them's his mom. Shut the fuck up. Like, suck my fucking dick. Like, what do you What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? What the fuck is unsubstantial about 20,000 followers? And how many more do I need to get because I have a TikTok with 300,000? Do I deserve it now? I have a different Instagram with another 17,000, which means on Instagram I got 37,000. Do I deserve it now? Like, when the fuck is enough enough? I have videos with millions of hits individually. My first TikTok ever hit 16.5 million in a week, right? My first TikTok ever. What the fuck more do I need to do? And that not only goes into views, but it also goes into the amount of content I make and the types of content I make. When I was doing the voiceover videos and I was getting big, people were like, we don't want to pay you for voiceover. Why don't you do skits? I do skits. They don't watch them, right? They go, why don't you do YouTube? I do YouTube. They don't fucking come over to the YouTube. I can't get them to go from one platform to another. I can't get any of the 400,000 people who are following me anywhere onto a single platform. They won't come to the YouTube. They don't click. They don't click the link in the bio. They don't fucking read, right? They tell me, how come I don't do more stand-up stuff? I have a comedy. I have a bunch of comedy stuff on a specific TikTok that's just for comedy that's doing well right now. They won't go over there. I post all of my stand-up sets on my Patreon. They won't go on the Patreon. Then they ask, why don't I have a podcast? Podcast is on the Patreon. Everything is organized in the link in the bio. So I'm coming up against people who are moving the goalpost, who fundamentally don't think I deserve anything anyway, so it doesn't matter what I do, and who will not fucking read. They just won't read. Where's this thing you made? Like, I remember I asked for money one time and some dude was like, you don't deserve money for doing voiceovers. I would be much more interested if you did a TikTok about being on house arrest from when you were in jail. That's the first fucking TikTok I had. That's the one from 2021 where I had the first video that hit 16.5 million views. That's the one with 330,000 followers. I've had that TikTok since 2021. You said that to me in January of 2024. I have 3 years of content on that TikTok.
Content.
Right, which is really just me recording being incarcerated in the Cook County Sheriff's Department, torturing me and falsely accusing me of sneaking out and threatening to put me in jail and pulling up to my house and handcuffing me to the radiator and shit and all the other, just grand systemic failure because they can't read their own data and because the GPS doesn't work properly. Right, their own GPS. You ever order Uber Eats and it says use current address and it brings you to the house down the block from yours and not your crib?
At least next door or two doors down. Or at least
next door.
Yeah.
That's the GPS on leg monitors. So when you on house arrest, right, I remember one time they read me in my crib and at my neighbor's crib at the same time. And when they came in, they were like, wait, where'd you just come from? I'm like, this is the bathroom. And they're like, and they come and they look, they're like, okay, this is the bathroom? Okay, I just saw you come out the bathroom. I know you're home now. It's saying you're across the street right now. And I'm like, all right, fuck can I do? You know what I'm saying? And then I go to court and they say I snuck out. And I'm like, no, the officer said I was in the bathroom. And there you go, his testimony ain't admissible because he ain't recorded type shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm recording years worth of systemic failure. This person's like, I'm much more interested in hearing you talk about that. It fucking exists already. Click the fucking link. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I'm getting to a point where I don't even want to make content anymore because I don't know what the fuck else I can do. And I've been doing it for years, largely unpaid. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know what else I can do. And I'm at my wit's end with people because I want to keep making things, but like I need to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Making videos on my lunch break, making videos at 6 a.m. to 8 to 9 a.m. And then I had to get ready for work at 10 and then I work a 12-hour shift and then I come home and I make 4 more videos before I go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Like on TikTok, on Instagram, YouTube, stuff like this, it's eating me alive.
Mm.
And hundreds of thousands of people just don't think I deserve anything for that. While also demanding that I make them more stuff. Because they're the ones flooding my comments for the wet guy videos saying, make this one, make that one, make this one, make that one. Why don't you do a collab with this person? Why don't you do this? Because I can't fucking pay my rent and do that at the same time, and you don't fucking pay for anything. That's why it's not out. That's why there's no more wet guy videos. I'm out of fucking ideas, and I got to work tomorrow. I got to work a double tomorrow. I don't have time. I got 3 jobs. I got to work a double tomorrow. On Black Friday, I got to go to one job at 4 a.m., stay there till 10, go home, sleep for a little bit, and then go to my other job from 5 p.m. until we close. That's my day. Now, I can fill that entire day, that middle of the day making content, but for the fuck what? Y'all don't pay. For the fuck what? This is why so many content creators quit. This is why a lot of them kill themselves. And we don't talk about that. We do not talk about how many content creators fucking kill themselves because they are making stuff for fan bases who just don't give a fuck about them. I feel like I am constantly, and I'm getting emotional about this, just chasing the dollar of these people who do not give a fuck about me. Right? I'm going through comments. I'm getting called the N-word all the time. I get called nigga so much in my DMs.
It's not nigga.
Well, I mean, no. It's not the hip hop way, but we're posting this places. You know what I'm saying? It's hundreds of thousands of people threatening to murder me. That's been happening since I got arrested in 2020 and I went viral. You know what I'm saying? There's not a single month in a year where like at least 200 people don't threaten to kill me just because. I'm sifting through all of that. And it's all these commenters and it's all these emails and it's getting doxxed twice. I got doxxed twice. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going through hell with this shit just to make people laugh. And these fuck niggas don't think I deserve $1. Why am I doing it? What the fuck am I doing this for, really? And why are people so comfortable making me feel like shit? Because I am honest about the fact that I have bills. And would like the people I entertain to pay them. Because that's the only way that's going to keep me out of the promos and out of the commercials. That's the only way that's going to keep the content the way they like it. Y'all like it when I'm mad. Y'all like it when I curse. Y'all like it when I'm raunchy. I can't do that and have a Nike sponsorship. Like I'm about to email some people back. Y'all don't start paying me. And then I don't want to fucking hear it from any of you, but I'm gonna. Like I don't want to fucking hear it. But like I email some people back. Y'all shut the fuck up. Like, really, shut the fuck. I don't want to fucking hear a thing from any of you the second I start doing promo work because you could have stopped this. Any of the 400,000 of you could have kept me from having to take them sponsorships and then fundamentally shift how my content works. Anybody could have done something, and very few people do. And I'm so thankful for the people who do, right? I'm so thankful. There's like 90-something people on my Patreon right now. God, I'm so fucking thankful. But 90 out of 400,000 do not make sense. It do not make sense to me. It just doesn't. So if you have thoughts about any of that, go off. I'll say it my piece.
Yeah, there's a lot to say about that. Sorry, I should not be breathing directly into the microphone. My apologies. So the first thing that rings out to me is the person who was like, well, why don't you make content about your recent incarceration experience? I would pay money for that. And when I hear that, there's a series of questions and or assumptions that can be made, and I'll make them in a point of not questions, but more so statements, or at least suggestions. Because for someone to say, well, why don't you document and or create content out of your trauma, that would be more interesting to me and I would feel more compelled to help you. That implies at least one of two options. Option one is, for whatever reason, they have a genuine interest in consuming your reality, particularly regarding one of the most harrowing experiences of your life, which one could make judgments about as to why you are most interested in enjoying someone creating work around an experience that was almost the end of them. Or on the other end of that, they are saying, well, if I could feel sorry for you, maybe I would feel compelled to help you, which is not about support. It's not about reciprocation. It's not about mutual exchange. It's not about seeing value in what it is that you have to offer and wanting to uphold that value by making a contribution to your livelihood so that you can continue providing that value. Instead, it's charity. It's, and it creates a hierarchy also. It allows people to participate in a hierarchy if it's about charity, because you are underprivileged and vulnerable and walking around and hearing In the Arms of an Angel blaring out of the car that's passing by, and then out of the window of the apartment you walk past, and then somehow now it's your ringtone on your phone and your friends calling, and you didn't buy that ringtone and you have no idea why this is happening, but Sarah McLachlan is breaking into every fragment of your reality, whether you like it or not, because you're just so, decrepit and lowly and, I can't make any of the references I was going to make without being problematic, but you might understand where I was going.
Mm-hmm.
And so me, proverbial me, I get to go, ooh, gosh, I'm so glad that I'm not in that predicament. Oh, wow. Doesn't that just make me feel so grateful for the life that I live and the material resources that I'm surrounded by? And oh boy, even though it would be such a sacrifice for me, because, hey, I'm not doing that hot either. I'm definitely doing better than this guy. And, maybe, just maybe I can, I got $5, so this guy can get a hot meal or something. I'm going to give that guy $5. Yeah. And then they get to feel good about themselves because they made a contribution to your livelihood when you otherwise might not survive without them, which is
Disgusting.
well, sure. It's an exercise of power. It's an exercise of power over someone, and an ability to feel pity for someone. And both of those things then affirm the ego of the giver.
Mm.
And I can only assume that it's at least one or two or both of those things when a person says, well, why don't you create content around your incarceration experience? Maybe then I'd be interested in giving you money. It's at least one or two, if not both of those things. Either you want to consume my trauma for your own entertainment, and that's something, or you are interested in affirming your ego through participation in hierarchy that allows you to look down upon someone, take pity on them, and make a contribution to their livelihood that you've decided they deserve based on the amount of suffering they're going through, especially in comparison to the amount of suffering you're not going through and the privileges you enjoy. And thusly, now you can give. Are those the... Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Are those the only ways in which you want to, and I'm asking this to the proverbial audience, are those the only ways that you want to engage with the effort that people make to create things and offer them to the world? Is through hierarchy and expressions of pain and great dire urgent need? Are those the only things that are worth your money, let alone your attention? And why, if the answer is yes? And if not, then how can we create culture that makes people more aware and feel more comfortable and empowered to engage with supporting people beyond the consumption of their pain and the proliferation of their suffering, without it becoming purchasing screen printed T-shirts and keychains and stickers that you may or may not use and may or may not put on your other consumer objects, or allowing Ticketmaster to fleece you with their dynamic pricing for concert tickets that were originally being sold at $100 for the best seat in the house, but because this artist is so popular, now the best seat in the house is actually being sold for $3,200. And the artist is probably not going to make the additional profit.
Nope.
Ticketmaster is going to make the additional profit. The artist will still only get paid for what they agreed to contractually, a percentage of that $100 that the ticket was originally priced at. There's so much middle ground for how we can participate in the enactment of culture through arts and media, between charity and hyper-capitalist consumerism. And we would refer to that as communal commerce. We would refer to that as the patronage economy. There's an opportunity here for us to engage with each other by means that are far less violent and far less precarious, and that dangerously in and of itself uproot some of the oppressive power that megacorporations hold over ourselves and our literal bodies, our conceptions of who we are as people, our ideas of who others who are not us are, and the ideas that we are allowed to engage with based on what these megacorporations deem as worth money, which is a far more narrow scope than what most artists and creators and cultural workers would otherwise be able to offer to us. So that's my first thought. I can pause there, or I can continue.
Well, I have another thought that I'd like you to respond to, and maybe not in real time, maybe when you get through your other ones. Whenever I have asked for money, because, you know, I've done Payday before, and every time I do Payday, someone always hits me with a, you know, why are you begging for money?
Hold on a second. Maybe add a little more context around what you mean.
Okay. So Payday is an event that I do every week on Friday where I go, hey, y'all, it's Payday. If you feel like tipping me for any of the content that I've made, or subscribing to the Patreon for more exclusive content, including skits that don't exist anywhere else, memes that don't exist anywhere else, and early access to videos that will come out in the next couple of days, check out the Patreon. It's $2. Here are all the links that you could tip me at. Thank you for those of you who pay. And if you can't, no big deal. I'm just happy you're here. Feel free to like and share stuff and follow me and subscribe to any of the other things that I do. All of that is completely free. You're not obligated to give me money. It would just be nice if some of you did. That way I can keep doing this, because me having the community I have, if half of you gave me bread, that money would be life-changing. It would be completely life-changing. And I'm sure you've seen this, being a person who follows me on Instagram and being my friend who I vent to about it often. People are fucking horrendous to me for just asking. They act like I'm putting a gun to their head and robbing them. In fact, they'd be more polite if I did that.
I would suggest that more than extorting them at gunpoint. They think that you're tricking them.
Yeah.
Into doing something that they otherwise would not do. They think they're being manipulated.
Yeah, they even go like, well, if you stop guilt tripping us, I'm like, I'm not guilt tripping you. I didn't say you should feel bad because you won't give me money. I said, if you have the means to do so, please support me. It helps me make more content. I also entertain a lot of y'all. I never expect everybody all the time to give me money always, but it would be nice if half, a third, a fifth, a seventh of you did, because that's still thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. And again, life-changing money. I just want to pay my student loans and buy my homies a house. You know what I'm saying? And I have followings that comics in the 70s and 80s would only dream of having.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I perform for more people than some of the greatest comics who lived in the last century got to perform for all at once, and I'm performing for all of them daily.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people do not understand that, like, in the 1950s, you doing a show for 10,000 people was a big deal. I'm getting millions of people at once, multiple times a week. And yes, the avenue is different, right? And it's more consumable, but I'm still giving people hours of content.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I drop, like, let's say I do 4 or 5 videos a day, all at a minute and 30 seconds. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's almost 10 minutes. I do that every day for a week, all 7 days a week, not a work week.
Mm-hmm.
Damn near an hour of content. Damn near an hour of content. You know what I'm saying? That's damn near Netflix specials worth of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Every fucking week.
Mm-hmm.
And people are just horrible to me. They're like, why are you begging? Am I begging? Because I go, hey, I made you hours worth of shit in the last month. Can somebody just give me $2? Am I begging? Am I tripping? Like, dead ass, am I fucking tripping?
Is that a literal question?
Yeah.
I mean, no. The literal answer to your literal question is no.
They make me feel horrible because I want to live. They make me feel so fucking horrible because I just want to live and make them laugh.
And I mean, these attitudes, the attitudes of some of the people, the attitudes of your antagonists, it's not born out of nothing. It's not random. There's a combination of factors and a combination of like prevailing cultural concepts that contribute to the way in which people respond to your earnest asks for financial support. There's the idea that art is suffering. And so, and that it's a part of the deal, right? It's like, if you're an artist, you are a person who is going to, and who already has gone through and survived a bunch of harrowing, traumatic experiences, and also the making of art. The process itself is supposed to be arduous and painstaking. And if you are a depressed, substance-dependent person, all the better, because that means we're going to get the good shit, man. You know, it's like, you're addicted to 7 substances and have 3 mental illnesses. This is about to be, you know, people expect that those who create art, they expect that there's something wrong with them, and that their ability to create is contingent upon there being something wrong with them. And that there should never not be anything wrong with them, because art is suffering. But beyond that, art is privileged work. Content creation, quote unquote, is privileged work. Being a cultural worker, one who is able to sustain their livelihood based on their effort, based on their labor, is a privilege. And on top of that, not only is it a privilege, but it now is perceived as a privilege more accessible to more people. And so you're not special anymore.
Oh, God, that's actually one of the bullet points I didn't hit on. If you don't mind my interjection, or would you like to finish your thought? So you hit 2 things, right? You hit the, you know, the suffering. One of the last people to tell me stop begging for money and just focus on making the art good and the money will come. I had to explain to them that that's not how that fucking works. Because that's not how payouts work, and that's not how monetization works. There are people on Instagram and YouTube who have hundreds of thousands of views, millions of views, and because of the nature of the content they make, they're ineligible for monetization, so they will never make money. Instagram and YouTube will make money off of their content and off of selling your ads, like selling your ad information,
Mm-hmm.
but the creators will never see that fucking money. TikTok, for me to make this, because I made $700 this month on TikTok. That is all going to rent. That is all rent money. That is just
Right.
rent money. And it's the first time I've made money on TikTok ever. $700,000.
Not 700,000.
Oh, not 700. Jesus Christ. No.
Not 700,000.
That's wrong. That's wrong. Y'all, I will post screenshots to correct that so y'all don't think I'm tweaking. $700. Oh, actually, low-key a little bit of it. It's like $690 something, right? That's rent, right? That's rent. Ooh, because that could derail this whole shit. I made around $700 this month. I made around $700 this month, right? Now, mind you, this ain't even the biggest TikTok. Because the other TikTok, 330,000, they told me that my content was ineligible. My house arrest content was ineligible, despite the fact that I had 16 million hits on my first video. They told me that I couldn't monetize. The Cook County Sheriff's Department would follow me and then report my video, so I got kicked out of monetization, so I can never make money off of my TikTok in that regard. So I got cut out of a lot of money because of TikTok's algorithm. They did not correct. And I was talking about this with YouTube too. YouTube copyright struck me for using my own music in one of my videos. And they were like, hey, being the copyright holder does not mean this isn't copyright infringement. I'm like, yes, the fuck it does. It literally does mean that. I am not infringing upon my own copyright. That is my voice and my body. You know what I'm saying? I've had multiple videos get flagged by people on TikTok for being unoriginal, and the unoriginal content is my voice and body talking about a thought I had. My literal being is unoriginal because somebody reported me. So like, we can't trust the platforms to pay, right? I can't depend on the platforms to pay. Again, I've been at this for years, and on the year that I'm low-key doing the worst at this, that's the year that I made $700. Again, the whole year, right? We're in November. I started going viral on TikTok in January for my most recent like anime and video game stuff. I made $700 for the year. That is going to 1 month of rent. I can't depend on the platforms. I need you all to pay, right? But they operate under this expectation that I'm just supposed to be broke until the platforms decide I'm rich. And the platforms have done everything in their power to make sure that me and other creators make the least amount of fucking money. That is on purpose. That's why I said in the intro, like, I'm broke on purpose. The platforms don't want to pay. The venues don't want to pay. And, you know, and people aren't coming to the live shows. People who get in my comments and ask me to do live shows do not be at them live shows when I do them. People who ask me do the YouTube do not be on that YouTube channel looking at the YouTube. They do not be on that other TikTok. They do not be on that other Instagram. People will do everything to not uphold their end of the fucking bargain while I do everything in my power to make sure that I don't fucking die while doing this. And what you said about how people expect you to suffer until you don't suffer anymore, because that's where the good shit is, air quote. And also this attitude that, and I'm losing, the thought is escaping me. It was the thought that this is easy. A lot of people will look at one of my voiceover videos and be like, shut the fuck up, you're not funny, I could do this. And I'm like, all right, do it. Do it, Goku profile pic. Akira Toriyama is not going to come back to life and fuck you because you have him in that profile pic. He does not like you like that. That man was married and he's dead now. Like, but go off in my comments. By all means, do it then. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a skill issue. Everybody thinks they're funny, but then when it's time for them to do stand up or make a video, they can't fucking do it. But because the barrier to entry is on the fucking floor, everybody and their mama can make content. Like, you can go viral for stealing somebody's sound and not doing shit, like lip syncing other people's already viral content, and based on your race and gender, you can get more hits than the original shit did. You could take something that's at 50,000 hits and you can get 2 million hits because you're lighter than the person that you took that shit from. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? Like, people steal shit like that all the time, and don't get me started on trends. Like, remember that Penguins of Madagascar thing? And the 3 6 Mafia song where people will waddle in the room and do the dance that we gonna fuck her in the back of the bus and fill her nose full of that dust. 3-6 Mafia live on, and it was the Penguins of Madagascar doing the dance from one of the ads for their movie back in the day. Somebody synced their dancing to that song, and it blew up and became a trend. And now all these people are doing the trend where they're doing the dance with the penguins, right? The first person to do that was fucking hilarious, right? The rest of you have added nothing to the culture. You're just doing it. But because all of you have 2 million hits for what is apparent for what is effectively jack shit, right? All you have done is copy somebody else's shit. You think you're a content creator now. You think you can do what I do, and now I don't deserve money because I ain't special, because you can do it too. Because you hit the 3 dots at the bottom of Instagram and hit the green screen, and now you're pointing at a video that I made. You're pointing at one of my videos, you know what I'm saying, without tagging me. You know what I'm saying? You green screened yourself in front of some shit I made, and now you think you're talented. Now you think you're special. Now you think you're up. Now you think you a content creator. Them damn reaction videos, right? Just somebody pointing and looking. You did a side by side. You did a split screen, and now you think you up. Now you think you can do stuff. Like you think you real. You don't edit. You don't mix. You don't write. You don't tell jokes. You don't do costume changes. You don't do a fucking thing. You point at shit that already exists. But because the consumer base is so fucking lazy and would rather look at you regurgitate their shit to them instead of just clicking the bottom of the screen and going to the original content, you done got so much shit off of being lazy. There's people who will put an emoji over your video and that's it. And I know it because it happened to me, and I reported the fuck out of them because they got 2 million hits on a video that I get 600,000 on. I was mad as fuck. I'm like, fuck you mean? Fuck you mean you got 2 million for putting a laughing emoji over my shit? Take this shit down. Take this shit down, bro. Like whole fan base gonna bully you. Don't fucking play with me like that. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not nice. I'm not nice. I tried being nice for a long time, and everybody was horrible to me, and this is what people get now. They get this like jagged, fucked up me. They chewed nice me up. I used to want to be nice online. People are fucking horrible to me now, and I'm real good at matching energy. That's why I cuss people the fuck out in my comments now, and I didn't used to do that all the time. That's getting worse now. You know, I thought I was getting better, but shit, like this shit's low-key fucking my personality up.
Ladies and gentle thumbs, you've heard of Jagged Edge. Now meet Jagged Edger.
I almost quit. Almost cut this whole thing. No, that was great. But you feel me? Like, it's just what you said about them thinking nobody's special is real. Like, you really think you can put an emoji over somebody else's viral content so now content creators don't deserve anything? You fucking scab. You fucking leech. Like, I hate them.
So there's a lot to unpack there. Low-key more than I was originally anticipating. I think when you start at the basis of, well, everyone deserves money, and by everyone deserves money, I mean everyone deserves to have their basic human needs met. Like every human being alive deserves access to quality healthcare and nutritious food and comfortable shelter and internet access and the ability to practice their spirituality freely and a few other things that I can't think of right now that we are currently paying, dividends for, when our baseline is, well, humans are inherently deserving of being able to live quality lives. And in this case, in the reality we live in currently, that means that people deserve to have the money to pay for those things. I think that's a good basis for, it's not that some people are deserving and other people aren't, it's that we all are. But since we live in a supposed meritocracy, since we actually live in a capitalist oligarchy, since we live with the idea that resources are scarce, we're always trying to cut people out of being able to live well. We are making the ability to live well a reward for making the right choices in life. And even that's a lie, because so much of being able to quote unquote make the right choices in life is contingent upon having the right education, belonging to the right people, being in contact with the right people, living in the right place, doing the right kind of work. It's actually not that there are people who are deserving and people who aren't. It's that we all are. And that perhaps the rewards should be greater for those who expend greater effort than those who don't. But getting to that baseline of like, you deserve to eat because you're here. So if we start there, and we both experience our deservingness because we're both eating. Well, I ate and told a joke. So perhaps I don't deserve more than you deserve, but perhaps for my contribution toward your enjoyment, you might make a contribution back toward mine. And for your enjoyment, that's the joke that I gave you. But for my enjoyment, that's $1 in return for the joke. And again, that's pretty heady. I'm going to bring that back down. So I was watching a YouTube video titled "Why Most Music Artists Are Not Successful" by an up-and-coming YouTube creator whose channel is either called Tigray Records or Tiger Records. There was a comment on that video that essentially said people have confused a lower barrier to entry with meaning that it's easier, meaning that the work is easier. I'm going to paraphrase that and say people believe that people have conflated access to performing the labor as the labor becoming easier to perform. In most ways, that is untrue. In some crucial ways, that is true. The technologies available to us today absolutely make it far more immediate and far more accessible for us to perform creative acts. But that will almost never negate the training, the consideration, the time, and the effort necessary still to show up and perform the work. And it's not fair. Some people are more talented than others, quote unquote. Some people have more skills than others, quote unquote. Some people have greater access to various forms of education earlier in their lives and are thusly capable of more as a result. It's not fair, but on the other end of that, it's also not fair that at the top of the skill hierarchy, many people are still underpaid and are toward the lowest end of the income hierarchy. None of this is fair. That does not mean that everyone involved is not deserving of fairness. I would be careful to say that people are doing nothing, that there are people on social media who are doing nothing. As I've mentioned in private conversations, social media is there for people to participate in. That's the point of social media. And platforms like Instagram and TikTok and beyond, providing tools that make it easier, or rather more accessible, in some cases both, for people to participate in culture, that's literally their business model. And people participating in culture is not nothing, right? It is not the same amount of labor as someone creating original works, but it's not nothing. The problem is that everyone is starting from the baseline of doing it for free, whether they're an artiste or not. And when we are all participating and or performing labor for free in the same space, that I think is what creates a lot of confusion, because you have people who are participating in the phenomena that is, we're here in this space and we get to interact with each other through media, socially. You have those people, which are most of us. And then you also have people who are creating art they share through social media. It's different, but most people don't recognize that difference because it's subtle and it happens through the same set of systems and mechanics. You, or I, but we'll focus on you, literal you, Mohawk, are someone who primarily is creating art that you share through social media channels, which is different than a person who is otherwise, for example, participating in a dance trend. You didn't choreograph the dance. You didn't come up with the concept around the dance. You weren't someone who had the light bulb moment that inspired the concept for the choreography. You are someone who's performing the dance. That's not nothing, no matter how poorly or how prodigiously you perform the dance. That's not nothing. The difference between whether or not you deserve money for that performance isn't even rooted in how good the performance is or isn't, as much as it's rooted in the ability to convince people that your performance in particular was worth money and somehow separate from all the other performances, which is actually also what branding artists is about.
That's fair.
And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but what I am attempting to do is break down a lot of the surrounding ideas that contribute to the conundrum that we're trying to interface with.
No, that's facts. What you said gave me another thought. If this is an okay place to interject, or do you need to?
I will remember. You might forget. So, go ahead.
That's real. Something, a thought that just comes to mind as you speak this in regards to us all being in the same space is that, and I'm reminded of this, and I can't believe I didn't touch on this earlier. It's not just people who don't create stuff that tell me I don't deserve money. It's other creatives who also don't fucking get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've had a lot of people hit me up and just go, why don't you just focus on making content instead of asking for money? And I'm like, well, I'm not making content when I ask for money. I will ask for money and then drop 5 more videos.
Right.
So, like, I'm not even doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I will ask for money at 11 a.m. and by 2 p.m. I've dropped 2 skits. Like, shut up. Shut the... There's only so many times I could tell the general public to suck my dick in one video. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to, you know, like, I'm tired. I'm tired of being told that I'm not deserving. And it is just fascinating, right? Because I thought our goal as performers was get a big following and then have them give you money because you do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Was that not the fucking point? And that goes back to, like, the Cameron video that started all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you got a big following, so you want this money? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Please.
Please and thank you. Yes. Just because you haven't dropped an album in 10 years that was of note doesn't mean I have to be broke. Weird ass nigga. Like, what the, like, yes. Who the fuck is checking for Cameron and what he thinks? Who's asking Cameron's opinion? Put that pink hat back on and rap again. Like, who the fuck asked you? Asking me shit. Like, asking, like, who the fuck? It's the panhandler. You don't deserve. Shut up. Mind your business. All that money and no hairline. Like, what do you, like, it's weird. And I feel this way about the other performers. Like, why are we pocket watching other people who was in the same game we? The whole point was to get motherfuckers to like us to the point where they was looking at our stuff and then we was supposed to get paid, and the platforms moved the goalpost on what it looked like to get paid so that they could cut us out our bread. But, like, the general the ethos of it is get the following, make your money.
Well,
fuck you mean?
So again, to extrapolate this further, The entire purpose of the major industrial entertainment sector is not, their main purpose is actually not to produce art. That is maybe their secondary purpose. Their primary purpose is to convince other people as to why the art is valuable. And by extension, the artists who make it, if there's any benefit to a personal branding aspect to the ultimate product, which is the art, right? And that is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. If you include film, if you include audio media, visual media, and related industries. And people are looking for rags to riches stories. People are looking at individual creators and saying, I'll know that you're someone I'm supposed to care about when you've worked so hard that someone bigger than you has recognized you and wants to platform you. Because that's what we think success is. It's how that's how we think success functions. Is you will be so good at what you do that someone with more power, access, and resources than you will select you, the special one, and give you opportunities to continue doing the labor you are already doing, bigger and better and more spectacularly, in ways that can then be worth more money because it costs more money, so that it can be sold for more money, until it's this thing that continues to build upon itself until you are then a powerful one. And then maybe you, now that you're the powerful one, are going to start giving opportunities to people less powerful than you. It's an investment in hierarchy. It's an investment in affirming and empowering hierarchy. People who are only interested in offering support to those who can find success via traditional industry and thusly be presented through traditional channels, television, radio, movie theaters, Netflix, arena tours, stadium tours. Those are people who have a deep attachment to the romance surrounding hierarchy. They're not interested in a person who's just like them doing the work. And for most intents and purposes, someone like myself, someone like yourself, we're just like the people who comprise of our audiences. That's not supposed to be a slur. That's not supposed to be a detriment to our brands. Would you rather a person who has millions of dollars in the bank, lives in luxury, does not struggle, has not struggled in decades, who may or may not come from a family who has not struggled in generations? Do you want them in your face telling you, I'm just like you and you're just like me and we're best of friends? Because it's what? Aspirational? Because that powerful rich person telling you that you're just like them or they're just like you means that you then can aspire to be as rich as them and participate in making them richer by buying into their story. You would rather affirm that relationship than affirm the livelihood of a person who is actually literally just like you, who with your support might join the middle class?
I mean, look at how people voted. Look at how people voted.
Sure. I was not necessarily interested in tying this to that, but sure.
I mean, it's topical and it's relevant. A lot of poor people looked at a rich Cheeto and went, nah, he just like me for real. And they voted.
Yeah, that's a conversation for another time, I think.
Yeah, but no, he is like me. I'm like, all right, bro, sure.
Yeah, there's many reasons why I think that's a conversation for another time.
I'll back off.
But the reason why I present this is not to make the decision for the listener, in this case, as to who they want to be in relation with or to. I'm not making that decision for you. But what I'm saying is there are decisions to make. And you can do both, quite frankly. Because I love a famous, rich, talented, quote unquote, positively impactful person. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to name names, but if I did, like, you know, I have favorite celebrities. I have favorite rich and famous creatives. I consume. Forgive me, Father, for I must consume. I'm not immune to any of that. I'm informed by much of it. But it means just as much to me to know that if I spend $15 on a ticket at my friend's show, that means that I'm now buying into their ability to have more opportunities to offer themselves to the world, and that I may pay for one of their meals this week by doing so. That's just as valuable to me as being able to contribute to Beyonce's legacy by buying a $400 coffee table book vinyl digital download box set of Lemonade. They're just as meaningful to me. If anything, supporting my friend is more meaningful, not only because I have the direct personal relationship, but because there's something romantic about buying in early. And what we're trying to arrive at, one of the points we're trying to arrive at, is the idea that if people were more interested in, if people saw the romance in buying in early, it would always be early. Which is to say, your favorite creator would never get too big to ignore what it is that you mutually value. Which goes back to your earlier points about what it means to take on sponsorships, what it means to become famous, what it means to be indebted to powers that are greater than you, who then effectively curate and censor who it is that you are and how it is you can express yourself to the general public, because they are now taking ownership of you and ownership of what you do and ownership of how you do it in ways that may not only endanger and negatively affect the creator, but in ways that ultimately might alienate and disappoint and further disenfranchise the audience.
Mm-hmm.
At best, we're having a conversation about who gets to eat. And if we're deciding that this creator eats, you know, at best, there are things about their work that may change based on them participating in traditional paths of success, based on working with the powers that be, to then, you know, ultimately deliver you something reliable and something you're mostly used to, but now it's just a little more refined. Now it's just a little less edgy. And it's still ultimately what you expected, and it's cool and it's fun and it's fine. That's the best case scenario. But in the worst case scenario, well, one of the worser case scenarios, everything about their work changes. Everything about who that person presents themselves as changes. And now they're unrelatable and their work is unenjoyable. And you've ultimately lost someone to the game. But you hope that they have $1 million in the bank, I guess. And as the creator, you then hope to hold on to that $1 million for the rest of your life because you're not going to get any more work because your audience turned on you.
This is what the Cheetah Girls is about.
Well, yeah.
The first Cheetah Girls is about this. They tried to tell us in 2005.
Shout out to Whitney Houston for being one of the primary producers of the Cheetah Girls.
We go all around the world. We go all around the world. Where we stop, nobody know. I love the Cheetah Girls. Oh, I love the Cheetah Girls.
And this idea of like corporate savior complexes, of like, be someone worth investing in. And what that means is like, go on American Idol so that you can be the one who's chosen by the judges and then by America and then take the world by storm with your amazing work.
Which
you know,
almost never happens.
Almost never happens.
Where's Ruben Stutter?
Where's a lot of people? We don't even know who's winning these contests anymore.
Because Clay Aiken blew up when Ruben was the one that won, right? Clay Aiken blew up.
Wow.
Adam Lambert blew up for a little bit, very briefly. Kelly Clarkson, Kelly Clarkson did it back when it mattered.
Yes.
Kelly Clarkson she did it when it mattered. Oh, we got to just talk about American Idol one of these days.
I don't know that I have that much to say about American Idol at this point.
I have a lot to say because it's hilarious, but it's also evil.
Just like the traditional media industrial complex exists, and there are trillions of dollars of yearly revenue surrounding that phenomenon. Crowdfunding, as we're calling it, the patronage economy, communal commerce, is legitimate. It's so legitimate that it's bringing businesses multi-billions of dollars of revenue a year, including Instagram, for example, one of the major players. Instagram creator subscription revenue, which is money brought in specifically for, so if you are a person who creates content for Instagram, and if your following is large enough, then you can create a subscription of your own that your followers then pay into to have access to exclusive content that you make. We have reached a point where there's a minimum of at least $1 million of revenue being generated for creators that Instagram actually takes 0% of. Allegedly, after taxes and fees, creators are receiving 100% of their communal revenue. Instagram is doing it. Instagram of Meta, previously known as Facebook Incorporated, has a subscriber program because there's money in it. And if they can get people to make things for the platform, even exclusively for the creators to solely profit off of, that means that they maintain an audience base, that Instagram maintains an audience base, that they then can continue to advertise to, earning them trillions of dollars. It's not benevolent, but it's good capitalism. If Instagram has decided it's good capitalism, why haven't we? Why haven't the audiences who are irritated with individual creators asking for patronage? When there's so much money surrounding patronage, if we have so much respect for these big businesses' ability to figure out how it is to profit off of us being entertained, experiencing joy, experiencing other emotions, consuming things, participating in the consumption and proliferation of advertising. We have so much admiration for that aspect of the system, then maybe we should, just by numbers alone, be providing more respect to the fact that the patronage economy itself is also bringing in billions of dollars annually in revenue. Someone believes in it. You might not believe in it because you don't know to believe in it yet, but it is the future. It's so much the future that Instagram has decided to participate in it just to keep you hooked on Instagram, to keep the creators creating and the consumers consuming on Instagram. I think that's meaningful. There are a few other things of note that I wanted to get into before getting into specifics of numbers. Another part of this, I think, is that people who comprise... I'm going to start that over. I need a second to think about how I want to phrase that. We need to wrap up in 20 minutes, right? Okay. Okay. I'm going to take a second to think, and then I might just get into some rapid fire because there's some there's some things that yeah. So, a very controversial artist who inspired a lot of my early attitudes and inspirations around participating in the patronage economy or communal commerce. Her name is Amanda Palmer. She's primarily known as a musician and to some extent a provocateur who was also married to a famous writer and television producer, Neil Gaiman, for some time. She's a very particularly controversial figure, perhaps for good reason, and I'm not necessarily bringing her up to celebrate her entire personhood without critique. However, her book, The Art of Asking, informs a lot of my politic around this and my views on how we engage with each other on a personal level with regard to how we exchange and resource and how we uplift each other communally, in addition to how I would like to be able to navigate my career as an artist and how I would like for others to be able to do the same. In her book, The Art of Asking, which she wrote after taking some time to codify more of her thoughts after speaking at a TED conference with a talk of the same name, The Art of Asking, which then immediately went viral. She wrote this book. This was after she had, at the time, and maybe still to this day, the most successful music Kickstarter ever, where ultimately she wanted to create an album and she made a Kickstarter for that album, and her community supported her to the tune of $1.2 million out of a community of only a couple 100,000 people. She defines crowdfunding in her book as a way to raise money for ventures, whether creative, technical, personal, and otherwise, by asking individuals, the crowd, to contribute to one large online pool of capital, the funding. Sites like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and GoFundMe have cropped up all over the world to ease the transaction between those asking for help and those answering that call, and to make that transaction as practical as possible. She goes on to say, the very existence of crowdfunding has presented us all with a deeper set of underlying questions. How do we ask each other for help? When can we ask? Who's allowed to ask? This was before Patreon launched. And immediately after Patreon launched, she was one of the first creators to join the platform. At various points in time, she has made more than hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I think that these are crucial questions to ask as we make attempts to diverge from the path we're on, where corporate greed and corporate oppression dictate so much about the art we make and the art we have access to and who gets to make it, and how beyond being privileged work, it is exclusive work that only matters when told it matters by powers that be that ultimately wish to influence us in some way that benefits them to maintain their own power and for us to continue to exist with less of that power. Because while it may still be legitimate, maybe even worth it, depending on who you are, to go through the painstaking experience of building your fame from the ground up, to then be picked up by, in my case, a major label who then exerts their influence and control over what it is I make in exchange for the money they will pay me in order to manufacture products that I then can offer to the world, with the potential and not guaranteed opportunity to then be a participant in a profit share generated from my beingness, my likeness, and my expressions being offered to as wide an audience as possible. I could participate in that legitimate path. But when we talk about 1 in a million chances, that's what we're describing. And we can see that a lot of various artists are subject to a lot of violence and a lot of suffering, no matter how rich they become, by subscribing to that dream and participating in that phenomenon, not including the amount of exploitation required of various laborers, most of whom are unseen and unnamed, that make it possible for those artists to enjoy that success contracted by systems who are ultimately attempting to abuse everyone in the picture for the sake of generating wealth for a very select few. I could do that. MOHAWK could do that. Artists who are quote unquote good enough and really who are marketable enough can do that. And in this economy, that's a legitimate path. And it's for a very long time, basically until about 2005, it is the only path that we have known. Part of what we are contending with as we have this conversation is that there is new opportunity clashing with old attitudes and opinions based on legacy versus potential. And we have reached a point in history where we now have a far greater potential to be more earnest, to be more honest, to be closer to the ground, to relate more to those who we offer ourselves to in ways that allow for more enriched, more informed, more varied, more specific, more niche sorts of working and expressing and being that could serve to edify, gratify, and empower people like you, people like myself, in ways that may contribute to a greater sense of our freedom and survival as opposed to our joint exploitation. I think that's worth exploring. And for those who want to be creative professionals, for those who want to be professional cultural workers, there is legitimacy to the path of asking for assistance from your community to affirm your livelihood in exchange for the offerings you make through your art or through your content, through your cultural work and labor and effort and intention, that exchange is valid, that asking someone to help you pay your bills so that you can live in exchange for you offering something that you exclusively were able to create that empowers them and affirms their livelihood. That is a valid exchange. It's so valid that if we look at Bandcamp, which in the past has been the premier consumer to fan, artist to consumer digital marketplace for the sale of music and music-related goods. If we look at Bandcamp alone and we look at their Bandcamp Friday initiative, where on the first Friday of every month, they invite audiences to purchase the work of the artists who sell through Bandcamp, and they have foregone their part of the profit share. They have decided that on Bandcamp Fridays, artists will receive 100% of the revenue generated after taxes and fees. That initiative has brought in $123 million worth of revenue. There are people who care about your work, who want to support you in your livelihood so that you can continue your work because your work affirms and enables their livelihood. I already spoke about the Instagram creator program, specifically their subscription program, and how that's bringing in $1 million a month. There are people who are willing to contribute to your livelihood in exchange for your contribution to their livelihood. Patreon's estimated annual revenue is about $50 million a year. There are people in the world who are willing to contribute toward your livelihood in exchange for your contribution to their livelihood. Kajabi, which is an educator platform primarily, but you can do a combination of things through that system, including offering audio content and coaching and a series of other things. They have generated more than $6 billion in overall revenue, and every 24 hours, creators earn more than $5 million, with the average creator taking home approximately $37,000 annually. So, going back to people who are just like you, making offerings to you in exchange for your offerings to them, $37,000 is quote unquote not a lot of money. That is still wage labor. But people deserve to sustain themselves and their livelihoods for the work they're doing, even at that low of an amount. And for a lot of us, when we are asking our communities, would you be able and willing and happy to make a contribution to the work that we do, an affirmation of your livelihood? Would you be willing to affirm our livelihood through your ability to offer us $1 today, or $1 a month, or $5 or $10 in compensation of our labor? We're just talking about wanting to make $37,000 a year, just like you, and to continue to be in community with you and continue to relate to you and be in conversation with you so that we can continue to collaborate on our mutual survival. When we talk about the patronage economy, when you see a creator that you enjoy asking for $1 if you liked this post, or asking you to join the Patreon if you enjoyed this video, or asking you to subscribe to their Kajabi if this podcast brings you something that you needed and otherwise would not have, that's what we're talking about. And it's real. And it's a significant alternative to otherwise being exploited and having to continue to participate in generating wealth for entities and for people who make the art we make necessary in the first place, just to continue to make this experience livable. I think that's worth considering.
Marcus, thank you for that. I think we're out of time here. But your insight on this matter is immensely not only rewarding, but vindicating, because I sometimes lack the eloquence or the patience to put what I feel into words, and I think you've done an amazing job of that. So I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for coming. I want to thank the listeners who will be listening to this and hopefully learning something. And yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you both to you for having me and having this conversation with me. And most importantly, thank you to those who are listening. And especially thank you if you are already someone who sees the value in participating in creating a different environment for us all to receive the things we need. And thank you to those who are now considering how they may want to participate in a different kind of phenomenon that can potentially uplift us all quite differently, maybe even more effectively than what we've been experiencing in the past, because we do have a new opportunity now to engage with this very differently. And I hope that we will make the most of that opportunity. So thank you.
Hey, what's up? I don't know how to do an outro, but I cleaned my room. If anybody's proud of me, I got some Beyblades in the box. I got some gargoyle statues. I don't know what to do, man. Look, you listen to me talk for an hour and a half, and we finished. We finished. Come on. Come on somewhere. Yeah. So we got some art on my wall. Friend of mine painted that. Someone else I know from
from my past made them too. Someone I went to school with made this. That one, a friend of mine bought me that. Yeah.